Hi there. Today the university is closed and we won't be able to run our normal session 13. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of that session and click through some of the slides. So here we go, session 13. If you look at this routine, you can see where the resources actually are. I'm using a Mac, but this should be the same on a Windows-based PC. So when we go through these little navigation keys here, you can see that there is the PowerPoint from the Tuesday session, the very useful one, I believe done by David Josephs. But we're going to be having a look at the seminar material here. So first of all, when we click on this is the session presentation. So we're going to scroll through and look at the learning objectives for week 13, organisational culture and socialisation, high and low level symbols, and a really useful NHS case study indicative of some really good discussion points to be had in the session. That will be the agenda just below there. The business in the news actually will be back 1 week, so we will reschedule this for the people who should have delivered this week to deliver in the next week, so it all gets slightly pushed back. Assessment 2, we looked at this last week and we covered these points on the slide. We also mentioned the 1500 words word count and the 10% buffer and what comes into the word count, the referencing, this sort of stuff. So Sarah Bloomfield and Diana have done the most useful slide coming up in a minute on frequently asked questions. Quite important, the deadline, Friday 1st of February, deadline meaning the last possible time. I suggest you don't go to this date, you do it before then and you check, you understand how to use a Turnitin submission tool and you attach the right forms and self-evaluation forms. Excuse me. So if you look at this slide now, hopefully this will give you a good indication of questions you might have asked or might want to ask about the amount of theories you should focus on. Just the one theory by an academic author, where the majority of marks are awarded. This is in the little purple assessment overview document, which has got the assessment criteria on the very back page and quite clearly the structure and what's expected in this submission. Quite importantly, at the very bottom of the page here, we can see that it says about 1,500 words. What is not included, the title page, the summary, the contents, the reference and appendices are not included in this. So please just make sure that you are within this 10%. And what happens if I go over the word count? My screencasting might just have cut this off. If you go over the word count, more than 10% over the word count, the person marking your report will stop reading, brackets, hence marking. So I hope that has actually helped. First one, we look at organisational culture, what it's like to work in an organisation and the socialisation of how employees merge into this culture and sort of adopt the culture of the organisation when starting to work there. So with this one, we have an activity. So we look at this activity here. So the first one we would do in the group is activity, culture, socialisation. So you can read this prompt and explanation of cultural perspectives and socialisation, what I'm just highlighting there now. And then we have the task prompts here, which you can do in a self-reflective way and a more evaluative way, just yourself, by having a read of the activity and answering those questions yourself if you're doing this away from the uni. Task 2 looks at symbols, high and low level symbols, so then we can link back to the presentation and we can look at the symbols within business, which links to this activity, as you can see there. And as it says, obviously we won't be able to do this discussion, but you can have a look at the individual task and then propose questions to the group upon your return. The third example is a NHS case study. Here is the PDF document, which is rather large, which I suggest you have a perusal at. It's very, very useful, and it really does address these question points which you can see are posed on the third activity, which is this one here. So this is the abstract of it here, and it really does focus on organizational culture, and it's about the three areas. It's about almost the relationship and the perception, the cultural perception of doctors, non-medical managers and medical managers. As we've been studying leadership the last week or two, this is a really useful one because it sort of helps to merge the leadership, the organizational management, and then this activity of the relationship between the two. It merges these two sort of academic topics together really nicely. And this is a really easy to read document, and in the cohort session I did do during the week, quite a few learners engaged with this really, really well. So you've got this, there's the activity, and you've got some prompts here I'm going to highlight now, which if you can jot down your answers to, that would be good, showing some application of this activity. That's the third case study there. So the questions which I've just highlighted, conclusions, and here is the sort of summary, plenary for the session, where we would then make sure everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, as they say, and have progressed in the appropriate way through those activities. There's a few slides on structure and content. There's the abstract, which is indicative of where these sort of summary outcomes come from. And there was one here about pessimism, which I just have screen dumped in the actual excuse me, my brain's gone dead. The actual meaning of pessimism, a tendency to stress the negative or favourable, or to take the gloomiest possible view, which in organisations you do get occasionally. A recap of week 13 and references, and then sort of winding up and Q&A at the end. Okay, I hope this has been a useful whistle stop tour for you today. Here's the activities I've used here, down in the bottom of the list, and my email address is r.whitehouse@bathspa.ac.uk. should you require any more information. Please do email, and I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Okay, thanks a lot then.